proceed to the next point. We should ensure whatever we say is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Hello, listeners and viewers at home. Welcome once again to another edition of the English language, sponsored by the Kaduna State Ministry of Education on e-learning. Today, we are going to talk on understanding the speaker's and writer's tone, mood, and purpose. When we talk about tone, mood, and purpose, what comes to your mind would be the way someone says something and the way the other person reacts to what has been said. Most times we come across this in our comprehension passages, in our storytelling, and in our one-to-one interactions. And on the comprehension passages, at the end, you come across questions that might ask you to identify the speaker's or the writer's tone and what is the mode of the person reading that piece. So that's what we are going to do today. As someone speaks, you listen and you identify the tone, how the person says the thing, and your reaction takes place as a result of what the person says. So let's come along. By way of introduction, we can identify tone, mode, and purpose by looking at the setting, the characters, details, and word choice used by a speaker or writer. Like I said from the beginning, when we talk about tone and mode, it means we'll have to establish a setting. Where is that taking place? Who are the people involved in that? And what is the information that the writer or speaker is trying to pass across? All these things are things we need to consider for us to be able to get the tone, the mode, and the purpose or reason why the speaker is saying what he's saying or why the writer is presenting his writing. By doing so, it will help you find meaning in the story or passage. When you identify tone and mode and the reason for that, it will help you understand the passage better, it will help you understand the story better, and it will help you understand what the speaker is saying to you better. This will help you feel more connected to what has been said or written. When you understand the tone, when you understand the mood and the reason, it will help you connect better to what your speaker is saying or to what your writer is trying to pass across. It's like in our daily interaction. When I need to say something to you, the way I say it will determine what you feel and how you feel. When I shout, that will determine your reaction. So from the shout, what you hear is what comes up within you, and your mood will just go accordingly with what I have said. So tone and mood goes together, depending on the atmosphere of what has been said. So meaning of tone, mode, and purpose. Tone and mood are two literary elements that help create the main idea of the story. Remember literary, when we're talking about communication in the English class, we mostly go literal. What do you say? How do you say it? When do you say it? Who do you say it to? And what is the reaction of the person that you have said a thing to? So tone is the attitude of the speaker or writer. The attitude of the person speaking. I am the one speaking now. So how am I passing the message across? How does my voice sound? Does it sound good? Does it sound harsh? Is it persuasive or is it repulsive? So tone is the attitude of the speaker or writer, while the mood is the emotion or feeling that the story gives the reader. I'm the one saying it, so I carry the tone. You are the one listening. So that feeling that comes from within you is what we describe as mood. Simply said, tone refers to how the author expresses what he feels towards the subject or towards something. What do I feel about you? How do I feel it? That is what will determine how I say it to you. That is the tone. So what you hear, the rising and the falling of my voice helps you understand what I'm trying to pass across. You will know what the author's tone is implying by the words he uses. Choice of words. When I tell you to get out of this place, you sure know it's a command. I don't need you here, so I need you to get out of this place. So the tone will go with the choice of words. So the choice of words here is very important to determine the tone of what is being said. And as well as it will help establish the mood of the person listening to what has been said. The tone can change very quickly. Tone can change very quickly or may remain the same throughout the story. So it all depends on the message. But bear in mind that tone can change quickly. It doesn't take anything to change mood. Once I need to deliver a particular message, the tone changes. When I'm persuading, it changes. When I'm trying to put you away, the tone changes. Tone is expressed by the use of word order, point of view, diction, and the level of formality used in speaking or writing. So, tone is expressed by the words you choose. My point of view. How do I see a thing? What is my opinion about it? What is my ideology about it? So that will help me sustain a formality in what I am saying. Now, examples of words to describe an author's tone. Remember tone, the attitude of the author, the attitude of the speaker, the attitude of the writer. You could dictate tone from a piece of writing. How do you dictate? By the choice of words. That is what we call diction. When you are able to choose the right words at the right time and you use it, it means you have a good sense of diction. Now, examples of words to describe an author's tone. Number one, benevolent. When you describe an author's tone as benevolent, it means the author is sympathetic, it means the author is tolerant, generous, caring, and well-meaning. So next time you hear someone says his tone is benevolent, what comes to your mind is sympathy, tolerance, generosity, care, and well-meaning. Two, when the author's tone is bitter, it means the author is angry. It means the author is antagonistic, the author is spiteful, and also nasty. That is when we say the tone is bitter. Number three, when a speaker's or an author's tone is callous, it means he is cruel. Cruelty, there's nothing good about cruelty. It means he has disregard for the person reading. It means he is uncaring, he is indifferent, and he is ruthless. So that is what it means when we say an author's or a listener's tone is callous. Next, when the speaker or the author is candid, it means he is truthful, he is straightforward, he is honest and unreserved. So, we move to positive tone words synonyms. Remember our lesson on antonyms and synonyms, words and opposites. I have always said, once you are in the language class, do not treat any topic in isolation. All the topics that you treat in the language class work together. At about the same time, you find yourself using the parts of speech, figurative expressions. Today we have the synonyms here flowing. So it's a holistic thing that you do in the language class. So learn not to treat any topic in isolation. Always connect it so that the ideas will flow better. So we have synonyms for whimsical. When you say an author sounds whimsical, you could see a word like fanciful or imaginary. Once you see them in that context, you should be able to know that they are synonymous. Number two, when an author is light-hearted, someone could use carefree or happy. Number three, when an author's tone is convivial, it means he is lively and he is jolly. Most times you hear he is a jolly good fellow. It means the person is a lively fellow. Number four, compassionate. It means your author or speaker is tender and merciful. Number five, yes, jovial. It means he is contented and cheerful. So learn to identify synonyms of words so that when it is used instead of the one that you know, you should be able to identify it and use it in context accordingly. Now, the mood. The mood is the feeling that an author creates in the listener or reader. That feeling that the speaker creates within the person listening or reading is what we call the mood. Most times you wake up in the morning and you say, I've woken up in a very bad mood. Why is it so? Because mood is an emotion. It is what you feel inside you. Something might have caused you to feel that way. Maybe the previous night, someone said a thing to you that didn't go down well, and that has affected the way you feel. It has affected your emotion, and you have woken up in a bad mood. Now, mood, this feeling is the result of both the tone and the atmosphere. The tone and the atmosphere. Atmosphere has got to do with the surrounding, the setting, like we said from the beginning. How was the thing said? Where was it said? So it is the tone and the atmosphere that will determine your mood. This feeling is the result of both the tone and atmosphere of the story or passage. The author's attitude or approach to a character or situation is the tone of the passage. The tone sets the mood of what is being said. We have said it. The tone is what determines what you feel. The tone is what determines the emotion you come up with. So the tone is the attitude of the person speaking or writing, while the mood is what the listener feels. The mood is what the reader feels from inside, and that has got to do with emotions. How do we achieve tone? How? Tone is something that can be achieved, so how do we achieve it? Tone is achieved through diction. Like I said, choice of words. Do you realize the kind of words that you use? If you realize them, do you use the right words at the right place at the right time? That will help you sustain the right mood as regards what you need to say. So tone is achieved through diction, that is word choice, then word order. If you have chosen the word, how do you arrange these words? Do you go on reverse mode or you go accordingly? So word order is a very sensitive thing that you need to be careful of. Then sentence construction. How do you construct your sentences? You need to be very careful about that so that the right part of speech will be at the right place at the right time. And by what the viewpoint character focuses on. Who is the viewpoint character? The person doing the action. That's the viewpoint character. What is the focus of that person? Your tone, your mood will go according to the tone of the viewpoint character. Then tone is created or altered by the way the author treats the characters. I am the one speaking here. The way I say something, the way I treat you will determine how you react to it. When I don't sound persuasive, you will not, I may not be able to convince you on things that I say. When I shout, when I nag, you will not be interested in wanting to listen to what I say. So the tone here is very important. So tone is created or altered by the way the speaker treats the characters involved in the story and by the way he responds to events around him. I am the one speaking. If something happens here, how do I respond? Because my response on how I feel will determine the mood. Sometimes you hear people say there is a transfer of aggression. I may be shouting at you, and you would wonder, why is she shouting? And if you check properly, someone might have hurt me somewhere. I will carry the pain that I feel from that encounter, then I redirect it on you. So that tone that I have taken from the anger caused by the other person is what is making me give you a tone that you may not like. So the surrounding determines the tone of the speaker. Now, what makes a good tone? Remember, we have talked about the writer's tone. Some could be bitter, some could be benevolent, some callous, and some candid. But what makes a good tone? A good tone is always positive. Positive. A good tone is always positive. It is pleasant to the ears. It reflects the speaker's or writer's attitude towards the reader and affects how the reader or listener responds. When the tone is positive, when the tone is pleasant, that will help you respond to me accordingly. But when the tone is harsh, it means something else is wrong somewhere. So what determines a good tone is my ability to be positive about what I have within me. Now, speakers and writers tend to put a lot of effort into sounding competent and professional. For you to be a good speaker or writer, you need to be competent. You need to be professional. And therefore, always find a way to create a positive tone. When you're a listener, a speaker, you need to create a positive tone so that people will love listening to you, so that people would look forward to wanting to hear you talk. But when you don't use a good tone, by the time they say, Teacher Mercy is coming on board, everybody will, I'm tired of her, I don't even need it anymore. But once the tone is positive, the tone is pleasant, people would always be eager to want to hear you speak. Now, we have types of tones in writing and speaking. Number one, formal tone. These have got to do with offices and businesses, official settings. Then there we use the formal tone. Informal tone, as we have in the formal and informal letters, that is how it goes here. Number three, we have the optimistic tone. Are you hopeful? Are you discouraged? Optimistic tone. We have the pessimistic tone also. We have joyful tone, sad tone, sincere tone, and hypocritical tone. How do you determine tone? You can determine tone when you do the following. Number one, pay attention to the words and language used by the author or the speaker. Pay attention to the language. When you pay attention to the language and you understand it, that will help you determine the kind of tone the person is using, whether it is formal, informal, whether it is benevolent, whether it is callous, candid, or joyful. Number two, consider why the author's chooses certain words or language to describe a situation. It means you have to consider, okay, this person is using this kind of words. What could be responsible for this choice? So by the time you think wide and you consider that, it will help you get what you're looking for. Number three, think about why certain words are used to discuss a character. Okay, Mercy is being described. These are the kind of words that have been used. Why is it so? So you try to analyze the situation. Then number four, think about how these choices create tone. If the choices are there, how do they create tone? You think, which means in the language class, you need to think, and think again if you need to make a positive impact. What does your tone say about you? Everybody has a tone, and everybody is capable of having a mood. So what does your tone say about you? Number one, a deep tone implies maturity and generates trust in other people. When your tone is deep, it implies you're matured and people will learn to trust you for your tone. If someone's tone is extremely deep, it actually conveys a dark feeling. When you are sad, your voice goes deeper. It goes deeper when you're sad. Now compare a happy situation and a sad situation. When you are happy, the tone goes high. But when you are sad, it goes deep. So that is what we have here. Number two, a firm, confident tone makes you think that the person talking is distinguished and important. When someone is doing public speaking, by the time you stand in front of your audience, they need to be firm. They need to be confident. By the time you are firm, you're confident. It gives the interpretation that you are distinguished. It means you are important. But when you go speaking or addressing people and already you are fidgeting, you are nervous, it tells them there's no credibility here, there's nothing to offer, so let's just go away. So learn to be firm and confident. How can you sound positive? Number one, beware of negative talk or thoughts. For you to sound positive, you have to be aware that there are negativities around. Once you are aware that we have negative thoughts and thoughts, it will help you choose how and when to be positive. Number 2, when you are aware of negative and positive thoughts, replace the negative thoughts with positive affirmations. This thing is negative. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'll just throw it to the side and pick up the positive ones. So learn to replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Number 3, get rid of outside influences. You don't have to work based on what other people feel or think. Once you are writing or speaking, it is about you. It is about what you think. It is about what you feel. So get rid of outside influences. Concentrate on yourself. Because you are speaking for yourself, you are writing for yourself, not writing about another person's opinion. So get rid of outside influences. Number 4, focus on the present. Now we are here. My focus is here. What do I intend to achieve in this lesson? What do I hope that my viewers or listeners will gain from the lesson? So we'll focus on the present, not the past, not the future. What we have now is what we are dealing with. So learn to focus on the present. Then think deep. For you to succeed in a language class, you need to think, and think deep. Remember the variables in a language class, the skills. We have listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And these are areas where you need to think. When you don't think, you are not moving it. So think deep so that you will be able to function well in these 4 areas of communication. 6, treat yourself like you will treat a friend. Friends are very important to us. Friends are adorable. So if you could adore your friend and treat your friend well, it is expected that you treat yourself accordingly. A few ways to improve the tone of your speaking or writing. 1, avoid being predictable. Avoid being predictable. Don't allow people suggest what you are capable of doing. So try to avoid that. 2, keep your tone consistent from the beginning to the end of your narration. If it is writing, let it be consistent from the beginning to the end. Then, as you keep your tone, cut through ruthlessly. Don't say, oh, I pity this thing. No, hit it as it is. If you want to achieve that aim, just go ahead and cut it ruthlessly and you keep moving on. Number 4, let tension sustain the tone. Tension, let it sustain the tone. Then use your voice. Many times people they need to express something, but they drop the voice. So you must learn to use your voice as it is. 6, convey tone through details and description. You have your details, you have your description, you convey your message. What is the speaker's or writer's purpose? Most times, speakers and writers hope to accomplish general and specific purposes when they communicate. For most people, speaking or writing for colleges and beyond, you will discover that there are 2 purposes. And number 1, the purpose is to inform the people, and number 2, to persuade. So in any situation of speaking and writing, there are 2 purposes there. I need to inform you of a particular thing, then I need to persuade you on a thing. As one speaks and writes, another listens and reads. Below are 4 forms of listening. As you listen, we have 4 forms. Number 1, you listen to appreciate. 2, emphatic listening. 3, comprehensive listening. Then 4, critical listening. Remember, you have to pay attention. Number 2, you have to lay emphasis on some issues. You need to understand this thing in details. Then analyze it. Think. That is critical listening. You need to familiarize yourself with these forms of listening so you can strengthen and improve your ability to think deep and evaluate what you hear. When you listen, you will realize that an author's or a speaker's tone may be sarcastic, informative, friendly, or something else entirely. So always learn to listen. When the person is sarcastic, you should be able to know. When it is an information, when the person is being friendly, you should be able to know. So listen and listen well. You can remember the difference this way. Number 1, tone changes all the time. Remember, we established that tone can change at any moment. So tone change all the time. 2, tone changes from sentence to sentence, but your voice remains consistent. There's a difference between voice and tone. I will maintain the same voice, but I will change tone depending on what I want to get from your own reactions. Number 3, mode changes by the attitude expressed in the tone of the speaker or writing. Now, this is by way of summary of everything that we have said. We are summarizing in just 4 sentences. Number 4, purpose is always to inform and to persuade. I'll take this again. Everything we have discussed is centered here in these 4 sentences. So always remember that tone changes from time to time. Then tone changes from sentence to sentence while your voice remains consistent. 3, your mood changes by the attitude expressed in the tone of the speaker or writer. And always remember, the purpose of your speaker or writer is to inform or persuade you. And this has brought us to the end of our lesson for today. But before we go, there is an assignment for you. And it says, 7 words are listed below. Use a dictionary to find the meaning of each word. Number 1, tone. Number 2, mode. 3, appreciative. 4, emphatic. 5, comprehensive. 6, critical. 7, emotion. I'll take the words again. Number 1, tone. 2, mode. 3, appreciative. 4, emphatic. 5, comprehensive. 6, critical. And 7, emotion. We have come to the end of today's lesson. My name is Mercy Baintakude, and you can contact me in case you have questions or you need to submit your assignments. The number is 080-250-25339. Goodbye, stay safe, and keep learning.